Happy Monday, everyone! For science today, we are going to start learning about fossils. We started to learn about fossils in the STEM lab that one day when we got to see all those little fossils and shark's teeth that the amateur paleontologist brought in. But before we look deeper into fossils, you need to know our vocabulary words. So when you go to Google Classroom, go ahead and click on Classwork. And then go down to fossils and click fossil vocabulary. And then you'll see the fossil Quizlet, so go ahead and click on that. When you get to Quizlet, you'll have your flashcards pull up for fossils. So then I'm going to go through these with you. So our first word is fossils, which are the preserved remains or traces of organisms that once lived on the earth. So any bones or footprints or plants or any type of preserved material that has been kind of crushed under sediment and turned into a fossil is a fossil. Our next word is mold. So this is a type of fossil where when the organism is pushed down under sediment and then the organism decays and dissolves away, the little imprintation that it made into the ground or into the sediment is the mold. So this picture on the left is the mold because this creature made an imprint into the ground and that imprint got preserved, but the actual organism dissolved away and isn't there anymore. So we're left with the mold, and so this mold is the fossil. The next one is a cast. So if later on you take a sculpture class in art, a cast is also used in there. So a cast is when you fill a mold with something that hardens, it makes the shape of what the mold was of originally. So sculptors back then and now, they can sculpt something and then put it into cement or rubber, and that imprint that the object makes in the cement or the rubber or whatever material you choose to make will make that mold, and then you can use the mold to make a cast. And so every time you fill it with something, like you can use molten bronze or cement again or plaster, fill it into that mold, and what comes out is the same shape as what was in the mold, and that is called a cast. So if sediment comes into a mold and hardens, and it looks like what the organism used to be, but it isn't actually the organism. Oh, hold on. Sorry, my husband keeps calling me. Okay, so the mold actually looks like the organism that was fossilized, but it isn't. It is a mold of what was fossilized. So it has the same shape as it, but it's not the actual organism in its fossilized form. So the true form fossils are those fossils that were permineralized or get stuck in amber and they actually look like the true form that they are. So it's not a mold, it is the actual organism that just got minerals put into it so that it is preserved and hardened over years and years and years. And an organism is a living thing. Plants count as living things. They are just not alive, so they don't move around. They just are technically living because they can die. They just don't move around and live like animals do. So plants, animals, bugs, anything like that is an organism. Now the next word is evidence. So when paleontologists look around at these fossils, they are evidence of what used to be around before these creatures got extinct. So it is that proof of what was living before our time. Now, environmental conditions are the way that the environment is around during the time that these fossils died. It's also the conditions of the environment around always, but when we're talking about fossils, you need certain conditions for the fossils to be able to be made, because if they're not buried under sediment in just the right way, they are not going to be fossilized and end up being preserved for all those years. So there has to be just the right environmental conditions for a fossil to be created. Now, amber is kind of a special kind of fossil. It is actually tree sap. So the sticky stuff that comes out of trees gets fossilized, and it looks like this pretty little gem, but creatures can get stuck in it too. And so this would be a true form of this spider, and it's fossilized in amber. So this is fossilized tree sap. Now, anatomy is what we learn about these old extinct animals when we see these fossils. So sometimes we'll only see little tiny pieces of the animal's anatomy, and sometimes we'll get the whole thing, especially if it is an invertebrate, because those usually get buried all together and the pieces and bones don't separate from each other. So anatomy is just the whole structure of that organism's body. And extinct means to no longer exist. So any organism that just every single one of its kind has died off and it no longer exists, that means it is extinct. And we met an amateur paleontologist at school not too long ago. A paleontologist is a scientist who studies fossils to learn about organisms that lived long ago. So they look at these fossils, look at all the evidence around them, look at if they were in groups, if they were alone, look at their teeth, see if they are carnivores or herbivores or omnivores. Just really study the fossils to find out about the organisms, because we can't see the actual organisms now since most of them have been extinct. And our last one is permineralization. So permineralization has per, which is through in Latin. That's a root word. So through minerals, these organisms get preserved and hardened because water brings minerals in. And instead of having all that living tissue that would usually decompose, the whole organism gets turned into almost a rock because all these minerals come into it and it gets hardened. So that makes it able to withstand the years and years and years of being buried underground. So the next thing that you will do is you will go back after you've gone through all of these yourself, and I want you to play the matching game. So you're going to drag the words to their definitions and then use that to study and get more familiar with these words. Once you have cleared all of those, go back again. Oops. Technical difficulties. Hold on. Alright, there we go. So you're going to click back after you play the matching game, and then I want you to learn them. So you are going to first get familiar with them, so it'll give you the actual words. So you're going to answer the state of the environment. Which one is that? The environmental conditions, and keep going through till you make it through all of the words. And then you're going to move on to mastering them. So it's going to give you the definition, and you're going to actually have to type in the word, because if you have the multiple choice options, then you kind of know it, but you haven't mastered it until you can just pick out the word from your head. So then after that, I want you to go back to Google Classroom, and then you can go to Flowcabulary. So there's going to be a Flowcabulary link here, and you're going to click on it. That will bring you over here, and so you're going to click on Log In and log in with Google. If you're already logged into your school email, you can click on your name. If you're not, go ahead and log in right there to your school email. And then you're going to go to where your name is and click on My Assignments. And your assignment will pop up right here. So you're going to click Go. And you're going to watch this video on fossils and then complete the vocab cards. Now, I'm not going to make you do all the words. I'm just going to get you to do 7 of them. So you're going to click on them, write a sentence using the word, because you already have the word and what the word means. So I want you to actually use the word in a sentence. And then you're going to save it and draw a picture of the word. So you have a picture here, so if you want to use that, you can draw a picture of the pictures that you were given, or you can make your own picture of what you think it should be. So Amber, you would just draw some fossilized tree sap, maybe add a little bug or something that got stuck in there as a fossil. Then you're going to click Save, and you're going to keep going until all of them are done. And when you see a check over here and over here, that means you are good and you finished everything you needed to do. So go ahead and get started on that, and I hope you enjoy it.